ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतानः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, in the last class we read the 48th shloka. We just read the shloka. We have to see the Bhashyam. Earlier we had seen that 47th shloka, that is Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmat Swanushtitat. So Arjuna was being told that his Swadharma, which is Kshatriya Dharma, it has to be followed by him even if it is associated with some defects, because every karma is associated with some defect or the other. So this is Swabhavaniyatam karma kurvan na apnoti kilbisham. So even though it is associated with some little bit of defect, because it is your Swabhavaniyatam karma, what has been prescribed to you depending on your Swabhava, so you have to follow that. You have to follow that and you will not attain any sort of kilbisham, that is papam or any sin. So that is what was the 47th shloka. And the 48th shloka continued in the same way. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi na tyajet sarvarambhahi doshena dhumena agniriva avrutaha. So this shloka also we read and I explained the shloka. This shloka says, this sahajam karma, hey kaunteya, O Arjuna, this karma which is associated with, which is your say real, say let us say your real identity. This is sahajam karma. This is something which defines you. Sahajam karma. This is something which is born along with you. It is something which is your identity. This is what defines you. So this karma, sadoshamapi, even though it is associated with some defects, because the society has allotted certain karmas to people depending on their swabhava, depending on the swabhava prabhavir gunaihi, depending on those gunas which are there in their swabhava, they have the society has allotted some duties. So you have to do them. Why? Sarvarambhahi, all karmas. Arambha means karma. Arambha here means not beginning. The dictionary meaning of arambha is beginning. Arambha, so to commence something. But here the meaning is arambha, that is karma. All the karma. Karmani, sarvani karmani. Sarvarambha means sarvani karmani. Doshena avrutaha. They are all associated with some defect or the other. Just as dhumena agnihi. Agni is always associated with some little bit of smoke. So simply because there is smoke, you don't throw away Agni, because Agni is so essential. So that is the point. So karma is very essential. So though it is associated with some little bit of defect, you are supposed to follow that karma. So that is what we saw. We have to read the Bhashyam. Sahajamiti. Sahajam sahajanmanaiva utpannam.
Sahajam sahajanmanaiva utpannam.
Kim tat? Karma kaunteya sadoshamapi trigunaatmakatvat na tyajet.
Sadoshamapi trigunatvat na tyajet.
Trigunaatmakatvat. Trigunatvat. Okay, trigunatvat also is okay, but trigunaatmakatvat is better. Sarvarambhaha arabhyante ityarambhaha sarva karmani ityetat
Sarvakarmani tyetat
Prakaranad yekechid arambhaha swadharmaha paradharmascha te sarve hi yasmat trigunaatmakatvam atra hetuhu trigunaatmakatvat doshena dhumena sahajena agniriva avrutaha. Okay. Sahajam karma. What is this sahaja? Sahaja means saha is together. Sahana avatu, together. Saha now avatu, isn't it? Saha means together. Sahaja, that which is born along with us. It is born along with us. That is, it is our characteristic. It is our guna, whether it is sattva, rajas or tamas. That is the sahaja guna. So sahajam, saha janmanaiva saha, janmana eva saha. Along with our janma, it is utpannam, it is something which has come into existence. Kim tat, what is that? Karma, he kaunteya. Then sadoshamapi. Why is it dosham? Trigunatmakatvat. Because this is trigunatmakam. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, these three gunas are there. And these three gunas, they impel a person, they propel a person to do some karma. And then because of that karma, he attains another birth. So this is something which is a circle. And then he is not able to come out of that circle. So that is dosha. The dosha here is the inability to come out of that circle of transmigration. So that is the dosha. The inability to come out of or get out of that circle of transmigration, that cycle of transmigration. So trigunatmakatva na tyajet. So one should not leave. Though it is trigunatmakam, though it is trigunatmakam, it should not be left. It should not be given up. Why? Sarva arambhaha. Arambhaha he is explaining. Arabhyante iti arambhaha. Arabhyante means they are commenced. Those which are commenced. So that is why they are called arambhaha. What do you commence? Some work, some karma. So that is why sarva karmani. That is all activities. Iti etat prakaranad ekechid arambhaha. Prakaranad means in this present context. Ekechid arambhaha. Whatever be the arambha, whatever be the type of karma, whether it is swadharma or paradharmascha. Ekechid arambha means whatever be the arambha or whatever is the karma, swadharma paradharmascha, whether they are swadharma or whether they are paradharma, whether it is your own dharma or whether it is paradharma. Like Arjuna is trying to go for paradharma, isn't it? Bhikshatana is something which is safe. So why have this battle and then why get some sin and whatnot? Bhikshatana is safe, I am not going to attain any sin, I am so happy, I will be so happy in that. So that is the thing. So swadharmaha paradharmascha te sarve, all of them, all those karma, te sarve means tani karva sarvani karmani, all those karmas. He yasmat, because Trigunatmakam atra hetuhu. The karanam, a reason for their, say for the human beings' desire to give them up is that they are all dosha. They are associated with some dosha. This is the reason why everyone wants to get over. So, but then Trigunatmakam atma hetuhu. Trigunatmakatvam atra hetuhu. Trigunatmakatva doshena. Because it is Trigunatmakam, because of the fact that it is associated with these three gunas, doshena avrutaha, they are associated with all the karmas, whether it is your swadharma or whether it is your paradharma. They are all associated with some doshas. It is not as though this bhikshatana karma is not associated with some dosha, that also is associated with some doshas. So that is it. Okay, I am not sure as to what are the defects in that bhikshatana karma. Maybe I have to check. You see, Arjuna's doubt is about Kshatriya Dharma. Kshatriya Dharma, okay, you are waging a war, you are killing people in the war, etc., etc. So it is certainly okay, one can reasonably doubt that this fellow, this person is having some doubt about its doshas. Bhikshatanam, what type of dosha, maybe I have to check up. Maybe in Dharma Shastra, Bhikshatanam is something which is assigned for a Brahmin. So, Brahmana, a person who has renounced and then who goes for Bhikshatana, what type of doshas may be there? We have to check up. Anyway, some Dharma Shastra will tell us. But anyway, that is not very, very important here. The point here is, all the karmas, whether it is your own dharma or whether it is paradharma, they are all sahajena, dhumena sahajena, naturally, just as fire is very naturally associated with dhuma. Fire is sahajena dhumena. Along with that fire there is smoke, isn't it? Sahaja. Along with the fire there is smoke. Sahajena dhumena. Just as fire is inescapably associated with some smoke, all the karmas are also inescapably, invariably associated with some little bit of defect. So that is the point. Iva avrutaha. Then sahajasya karmanaha swadharmakhyasya परित्यागेन परधर्मानुष्ठानेपि दोषात् नैव मुच्यते भयावहश्च परधर्मः नैव मुच्यते. There is a gap here. नैव space मुच्यते. Okay, सहजस्य कर्मणः, of this sahaja karma, you see there is an important point here. You see, sahajasya karmanah swadharmakhyasya. Sahaja karma, which is also called swadharma. This point you have, this equation you have to note. sahaja karma is equated as equated and told as swadharma. So swadharma, when we say sveya and swadharma, what is the meaning? Sahaja karma. That is, a person is associated, he is born with some gunas. There is a predominant guna in any person who is born. So in any being, let us say. Also in all human beings, there are certain predominant gunas. So that is the sahaja guna. And then according to that, there are certain karmas which are assigned or which have to be assigned. So here, sahajasya karmanaha swadharmakhyasya. So in fact, yesterday also I was saying, there is what is called swabhava prabhavaihi gunaihi. That swabhava is determining those gunas which are coming into existence at that time of birth. They are the swabhava, isn't it? And according to that only, Dharma Shastra also has prescribed certain duties. Shama, Dama, etc. for a Brahmana, then Shauryam, Dhruti, Tejaha, etc. for a Kshatriya, etc. They have prescribed. So here again we are seeing this Sahaja Karma is the same as Swadharma. This equation also, it is an important thing which we have to note. Swadharmakhyasya Parityagena and also Paradharma Anushthanepi. By giving up your Swadharma and then you are taking up Paradharma Anusthana. Paradharmasya Anushthana. Anushtanepi Doshat na naiva muchyate. You are not getting out of this dosha. Doshat naiva muchyate. Muchyate means becoming freed. You are not getting freed. Naiva na muchyate. Doshat naiva muchyate. He never gets freed. A person never gets freed by this defect. Even though one gives up one's own dharma and takes up another dharma. Parityagena paradharma anushthanepi. Even though you have taken up paradharma, then doshat naiva muchyate. In fact, this is this point. This is the reason why the Indian society had a proper social structure where a Brahmana was supposed to do a particular thing. His duty was swadhyayam and also pravachanam. Kshatriya, his duty was to protect. And the another man, Vaishya, his duty was to create wealth. Shudra, his duty was to serve. And this, of course, was the strength for a long time. But it also became the weakness. When some invaders came in the 10th century, the only man who was prepared to fight was a Kshatriya. The Vaishya, he was not prepared to fight. He was having a big paunch and then he was never, trained in fighting. The Shudra, again, many people they were there. Of course, some people probably they were trained in to be ordinary soldiers. But then they were all people who were purchasable. So these are the people, and then they had no great commitment because they could be easily won over. They could be easily won over because they could always be told that you are all treated as some third-rate citizens or second-rate citizens or something like that. So this structure, it was very good for a long time. But then at the point when there was some external pressure by way of invasions, etc., so this system became a problem for us also. So here, doshat naiva muchyate bhayavahasya paradharmaha. So this paradharmo bhayavaha, you remember that line? So then, nacha shakyate asheshatah tyaktum ajnena karma yatah. You can close this door. Nacha shakyate asheshatah tyaktum ajnena karma yatah. Tasmat na tyajed ityartha. So for all these reasons, asheshatah karma na tyaktum shakyate. Asheshatah means totally, without any continuous, altogether. Asheshatah means altogether. Karma na tyaktum shakyate. That is, karma cannot be given up. By whom? Ajnena. You see that word? Nacha shakyate asheshatah tyaktum ajnena. Ajnena means ignorant person. By an ignorant person. Ignorant means anatmagnya. One who does not know the atmagnya. One who does not have the atmagyana. So by one who doesn't have this atmagyana, karma can never be given up. So that is the meaning of this thing. So when he says Sahajam Karma Kaunteya Sadosham Apinatyajit, Shankaracharya is anticipating some fight. He is anticipating some fight with the Mimamsaka. Mimamsaka is the one who always wants that karma has to be done by everybody. There is no question of being a jnani or anything. There is no question of sannyasa. There is no question of giving up any karma by anybody. So you have to jolly well do karma. That is the Mimamsaka statement. So like we see in the we see in the films, whenever there is a slight chance, the villain tries to attack the hero, and then hero again fights back. So some such fight is going to be seen here. some ideological battle or some sort of verbal or intellectual battle is going to be seen, maybe in the next two classes. So we are going to see some sort of fight between Mimamsaka and Shankaracharya. So Vedanti always tries to say, okay, your ritual has a place, but you don't totally dominate me. You have a place, but don't totally dominate me. You are there basically for Chitta Shuddhi. And then after a person becomes a jnani also, you should not say that jnani also cannot give up karma. So that is the type of fight which goes on now. So here you see, Nacha Shakyate Asheshatah Tyektum Ajnena. Ajnena is important here. That is by an ignorant person, by an anatmagya. Karma na Shakyate Tyektum. That is, it is not possible to give up karma altogether. Asheshatah means altogether. Because of that, yataha, because of that, tasmat na tyajet ityarthaha. One should not give up. So how did Shankaracharya anticipate this fight? Because this shloka says sadoshamapi na tyajet. So again it got opened. Okay. Sahajam karma, you can pull it. Okay. So this shloka, it reads Sahajam karma sadoshamapi natyajet. When Krishna says Sahajam karma natyajet, then Mimamsaka suddenly gets up and then says, yes, you see, Lord Krishna also is supporting us, karma cannot be given up. So therefore Shankaracharya has to again fight back and kick this Mimamsaka out of the arena. So that is what we are going to see, a big fight in the next couple of passages. We have to very carefully listen because this is some slightly difficult discussion. So let us see the Bhashyam. Kim asheshatah tyektum ashakyam karma iti natyajet.
Kim asheshatah tyektum ashakyam karma iti natyajet.
Kim va sahajasya karmanah tyage dosho bhavati iti.
Sahajasya karmanah tyage dosho bhavati iti.
So the question is, Kim asheshatah tyektum ashakyam karma iti natyajet. Are you saying that karma cannot be given up because karma should not be given up? Karma should not be given up because it is very difficult to give up. The two alternatives. Are you saying that karma should not be given up because it is very difficult to give up? Anyway, it is very, very difficult to give up, so let us do it. Is it like that? Or kimva sahajasya karmanah tyage dosho bhavediti? Or whether it is wrong to give up all that sahaja karma. You followed it? One is sahaja karma is very difficult, so I am giving up. Next is sahaja karma is sadosha. Sadosha means it is associated with some dosha, so I am giving up. So there are two reasons why one can give up karma. So what is the reason? What is the reason in your case? So that is what he is asking. Kim chataha? Kim chataha? Kim chataha means what is there? What difference does it make? It doesn't make any much difference. Then he is the Purvapakshi is again explaining. Yaditavad asheshataha tyaktum ashakyamiti natyajyam sahajam karma.
Tyaktum ashakyamiti natyajyam sahajam karma.
Evam tarhi asheshataha tyage guna eva syaditi siddham bhavati. So the overall meaning is, suppose it is very, very difficult to do a task and somebody achieves the task, then what will you say? Very good, shabash, isn't it? It is a very, very difficult task, but then somebody has achieved it. Then you say very good. So similarly in the case of karma also, it is very, very difficult to give up the karma, but somebody has given up the karma. Is it not good? Yes, you have to give a shabashi to him, you have to pat him, isn't it? So that is what it is. Yaditavad asheshataha tyaktum ashakyamiti Natyajyam sahajam karma. If you say that this natyajyam sahajam karma, the karma should not be given up because asheshatah tyaktum ashakyam, because it is very, very difficult to give up altogether. So if you are doing so, and evam tarhi means in that case, when you are taking a stand that this sahajam karma cannot be given up because it cannot be given up, because it is very, very difficult. Even then, in that situation, evam tarhi, even in such a situation, asheshatah tyage guna eva syat. If somebody is able to totally give up, then it is a guna only. Guna means it is something which is to be complimented. It is a virtue. It is highly meritorious. Guna here not sattva rajas tamo guna. You tyage guna eva syat means you can say it is meritorious, praiseworthy, commendable. It is highly commendable. Suppose a very, very difficult thing he has done. Sannyasa, taking up sannyasa is a very, very difficult thing, suppose. But then somebody has taken up sannyasa and somebody has actually given up all the karmas. So it is something great, isn't it? So that is what he says. Siddham bhavati. Then satyam evam asheshatah tyaga eva nopapadyate. Iti chet. Okay, then again this man says, Purvapakshi, asheshatah tyaga eva nopapadyate. Asheshatah, altogether, tyaga, rejection of all the karmas, non-performance of this. Non-performance is not better than, non-performance is not a good word. Tyaga means renunciation. Renunciation of all karmas altogether, it doesn't happen. Now upapadyate, it is not possible. So if you say like that, then he is further explaining. He is further explaining his Purvapaksha. How? Kim nitya prachalitatmakah purushah yatha sankhyanam gunah kim va kriyaiva karakam yatha bauddhanam skandhaah kshanapradvamsinah panchaskandhaah fine kshanapradvamsinah. Okay. Kim, now the question is satyam evam asheshatah tyaga eva nopapadyate. It is just not possible to give them up altogether. So that is it. Then he is further explaining. Kim nitya prachalitatmakah purushah yatha sankhyanam gunah. So now we have to see what do Sankhyas say and what do Bauddhas say. So Sankhyas, they say Atma is something which is nitya prachalitatmakah. Nitya prachalitatmakah means it is also associated with these three gunas. I will read out the further sub-commentary. Ashesha karmatyaga phalam tasmat hamsa parivrajikasya. Okay. Asheshatah tyaga yasyata param tu karma kartu viprayam kimityajana ashesha. Okay. Purushasya nitya prachalitatmakatvad asheshatah karmatyagaha na sambhavati ityetaduktam kim tvaya. Kriyaya eva कारकत्वादिति वा वक्तव्यः. पुरुषो जीवः नित्य प्रचलितात्मकः नित्य चलन स्वभावः. So nitya chalana swabhavaha, that is according to Sankhyas, this Purusha, this Atma, this Self is something which is also associated with these three gunas. And once you are associated with these three gunas, you are always tossed about here and there. You are always tossed about, and then you are always impelled into some action. So that is the nitya prachalitatmakaha means nitya chalana swabhavaha. You may note down nitya chalana swabhavaha. Nitya chalana swabhavaha. Because the basic idea of Purvapakshi is to say that even a sannyasi cannot give up karma. The basic idea of Purvapakshi is taking support from this Krishna's statement, sahajam karma sadoshamapi na tyajet, taking support of that statement. Purvapakshi wants to say that there is no question of giving up karma. Karma has to be done by everybody, including a sannyasi. Whereas Shankaracharya has to somehow save that sannyasi, isn't it? Shankaracharya have to somehow exclude that sannyasi, establish that this karma cannot be given up only by an ajnani, but a jnani can give up karma. So that is the ultimate derivation which we have to come. So from that point of view, you see fit in all these things. So here Two schools are mentioned here. One is Sankhya school, which says that this Purusha also is associated with some gunas. So this fellow cannot give up. Kim prachala, say Nitya prachala swabhavaha, Nitya chalana swabhavaha. So naturally he cannot give up. Then yatha Bauddhanam skandhaha. Your book says Pancha skandha. It's okay. Bauddhanam Pancha skandhaha Kshana pradvamsinaha. So here we have to see what is this Bauddhanam skandhaha. So this we have not come across, this Bauddha Pancha skandhas we have not come across earlier. You know this Pancha koshas. We know what Vedanta says about this Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha, etc. etc. Something similar, not exactly the same. With some slight difference. There is Bauddha's Pancha skandhas are there. Skandha means something, skandha, vrukshasya skandha, some trunk of a tree. There are 5, say, branches, or 5, say, let us say 5 factors, or 5 branches, let us say. What are those Pancha skandha? One is, I will read out, Bauddhanam mate kriya shana pradvamsana. Okay. Rupa Vedana Vijnana Sanya Samskaraha Pancha skandhaha. Rupa Vedana Vijnana Sanya Samskaraha Pancha skandhaha. Tatra Vishaya Prapancho Rupa skandhaha. You may note down 5 skandhas. One is called Rupa skandha. Rupa skandha is actually the physical organism. Whatever organism, the physical being is that Rupa skandha. According to Buddhas, there are only 4 elements: Prithvi, Apas, Teja, Vayu, not Akasha. We say Vedanta accepts 5 elements, whereas Buddhas and some others, the Charvakas, etc., they accept only 4 elements: Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu. So these 4 elements, they are again atomic in nature. All these elements, it is a continuous changing stream of atoms. This Rupa, or this physical body, whatever is the physical body, is a continuous stream of changing atoms. That is also a beautiful thing. These Buddhas also, they are not to be dismissed so easily, though ultimately we may disagree with them, but then their analysis also is quite good. You see, every moment you are breathing, every moment you are taking some water, every couple of hours you are eating something, and every day our many say bodily cells are dying and many new cells are getting produced. Even in the human brain, thousands of cells they die every day and thousands of cells they get produced. Of course, Buddhists might not have known all this, but intuitively this fellow said it is a continuous stream of changing atoms. What a beautiful thing. That is what is called Rupa skandha. That is that branch. So the physical organism. Then the other one is Vedana skandha. Vedana means you touch heat and then it hurts you, you cry. Then you eat something and then it gives you a nice feeling. So feeling of happiness, joy, anger, etc., etc. These are all not anger, feelness, happiness, unhappiness, etc. This is called Vedana. That is sensation. That Vedana skandha is something. That is another thing. It is something similar to our Manomaya kosha. Then Sanya skandha. Sanya means that is perception or knowing. That is Sanya skandha, is perception or knowing. That is, okay, I know this, so that way. Then Samskara skandha. Samskara means, say, what we call in the same samskara, that vasana or samskara with the predispositions or disposition otherwise. So that is what is called Samskara skandha. So all these experiences, they produce some sort of disposition in you, and then those disposition, it will say make you not to touch fire, it will make you to eat an ice cream. So these are the Vedanas. This is the Samskara skandha. Then the final one is Vijnana skandha. Vijnana skandha is, it is also called Alaya Vijnanam. Buddhas, they call it Alaya Vijnanam. The notion of I, that notion of I is something which cannot be negated, isn't it? Even a Buddha, he also should say, yes, I exist. He cannot say I don't exist. So that notion of I is there, that is called Alaya Vijnanam. But in all these skandhas, now we have seen Rupa skandha, Vedana skandha, Sanya skandha, Samskara skandha, Vijnana skandha. Rupa skandha really means physical organism, that is a continuous stream of changing atoms. Then Vedana skandha, a continuous stream of feelings which come and go. a continuous stream of this heat, cold, etc., which come and go. Then sanya, a continuous perception of knowing something, continuously you are knowing something and continuously it is going away. Then disposition, this samskara, which is again it is also there. Then vijnana, the notion of I. These 5 skandhas are there. And finally what they say is all these things are fleeting in nature. They are all shanika. They are all shanikaha. The next moment they are not there. So that is the basic dispute between Vedanta and say this man, Bauddha. So if you say everything is shanika, by the time you say that you utter a word, you are no longer there. So anyway, those are finer arguments. We need not go into that. I will just read out what this sub-commentator has written. It is a beautiful commentary by Bellamkonda Ramaraya Kavi, which helps in understanding this passage. I will read out. Jnana tatra Vishaya prapanchaha rupaskandhaha tad jnana prapanchaha vedanaskandhaha alaya vijnana santanaha vijnanaskandhaha alaya vijnana santana, the continuous notion of I. And by the time I know I, that I dies and another I comes, then again another I comes. So every minute this I is dying and another I is coming. So that is what they say. Anyway, it is very, very difficult to either understand or very difficult to challenge also. Alaya vijnana santanaha vijnanaskandhaha nama prapancha sanyaskandhaha, that is knowing all these things, various, you know this as something, this, you know this as fan, you know that something else as tree. So like that is sanyaskandhaha. Then vasana prapancha samskara skandha. Vasana prapancha. Vasana is the same as samskara, that is predisposition, etc. Samskara skandha. Evam panchadha parivartamanaha vijnana santana eva atmeti bauddha darshanam. Panchadha parivartamanaha. This 5-fold parivartamana, continuously changing. Parivartamanaha vijnana santana eva. This continuous stream, santana, the stream of consciousness as they call it. Actually, this modern psychology has copied many items from Buddhism, Yoga and Vedanta. Unfortunately, our people, they don't do some proper study, we do not know. So these are all independent points for research. These are all points for exclusive research actually. So this vijnana, because this word stream of consciousness is a very famous word in say modern psychology. And in fact, there is a particular group of novelists who have written some novels called the Stream of Consciousness novels. So one gentleman called James Joyce, then Virginia Woolf, etc. So they have written some novels, say in this particular stream. So Vijnana Santanatmakatvat Skandhanam. 1 minute. Vijnana Santana eva Atma iti Bauddha Darshanam. This is Bauddha Darshana says, this continuous stream of all these things. And then Vijnananam cha Shanikatvat. All these Vijnanas are Shanika. Whether it is Alaya Vijnana or whether it is something else or Rupaskandha, Sanyaskandha, all these are Shanika. Shanikatvat. Skandhanam Shana Pradvamsitvam. Shana Pradvamsitvam means every minute they disappear. Shana Pradvamsitvam. Pradvamsa means disappearing. Shana Pradvamsitvam. In 1 second they are disappearing. And Vijnana Santanatmakatvat Skandhanam Imani cha Vijnanani Buddhi Vritti Rupanyeva. So these are all Buddhi Vritti Rupanyeva. So this Vijnana also is something which is going away. So which means all these things are Shana Pradvamsinaha, momentary fleeting Buddhi Vrittis. What all you call it as Rupaskandha or Sanyaskandha or some other skandha, these are all very momentary Buddhi Vritti Rupanyeva iti. Kriya eveti skandhaha Shana Pradvamsinaha Kriya Swarupascha iti bhavaha. So at the same time, Buddhist also is doing some activity, isn't it? Whether he is a Buddhist or a Sankhya or whatever it is, he is also doing some activity. And what is that activity? That activity is nothing other than this Buddhi Vritti. This Buddhi Vritti is happening and then the very minute it is disappearing. So that Buddhi Vritti Rupanyeva, all these things are Buddhi Vritti Rupanyeva. Whatever he does, this is all Buddhi Vritti only, a very, very fleeting Buddhi Vritti. So that is why Kriya Eva, that is what is Kriya. Then you see, come to the Bhashyam now. We are now seeing this word with this line, Kim Nitya Prachalitatmaka Purushaha Yatha Sankyanam Gunaha, that line is over. Then Kimva Kriyaiva Karakam Yatha Bauddhanam Skandhaha Kshana Pradvamsinaha. We are in that line. Athava Kimva Kriyaiva Karakam. Is it the self? Is the self itself, say, Kriya Swarupam by definition? By definition, the self or Atma itself is Kriya Swarupam according to Bauddhas. So that is what he is saying, explaining. He is explaining that according to Bauddhas, the self, which is a continuous stream of all ephemeral things, all these five skandhas are also ephemeral and fleeting in nature. And that is how this self itself is the Kriya Swarupa. So that is it, Kriya Swarupa. So Buddhi Rupanyeva iti Kriya eva iti Skandhaha Kshana Pradvamsinaha Kriya Swarupascha iti Bhavaha. So this is a commentary in order to understand that original line. So all say the very human self is nothing but Kriya Swarupa. So that is what they say. Then what does it mean? When your very self is Kriya Swarupa, you can't give up Kriya. So it means, ultimately it means, whether you are a Buddhist or whether you are a Sankhya, you cannot give up karma. Isn't it? So Shankaracharya has brought into all these things because Mimamsaka, he counters Shankaracharya or Vedantin on all these points. Mimamsaka counters. So Shankaracharya is also bringing all these things. First of all, he is telling the argument of the Mimamsaka and then he is going to denounce. So he has now quoted this Bauddha Skandha, and prior to that he has told about Sankhyanam Gunaha. Do you want repetition of this? Huh? Yeah, I will again read this line. Say, Satyam evam asheshatah tyaga eva na upapadyate. So asheshatah tyaga eva, that is giving up the karmas altogether is not possible. Iti chet. Then he is again further explaining. Iti chet, after saying iti chet also, the Siddhanti again further elaborates. What is that? Kim nitya prachalitatmakah purusho yatha sankhyam, purushaha yatha sankhyanam gunaha. So is it because this Purusha or Atma, Purusha means Atma, you can note down. Here Atma, is it because this Atma is somebody who is always changing in nature, always in a flux? Let us say that is a better word, Nitya Prachalitatmakaha, always in a state of flux, always changing because of these three gunas. Or Kimva Kriyaiva Karakam, Kriyaiva, or whether this Kriya itself is Karakam. Karakam means Karta. Whether Kriya itself is the Karta, as in the case of Bauddhas. And what do these Bauddhas say? We have seen this, according to Bauddhas, say there are these five skandhas, five branches, in which all human experience can be divided. You see, just as we have got this Pancha Koshas, etc., in order to understand the human experience, these people also have told about these five skandhas in order to understand human experience. We don't say that Vijnana or consciousness is something which is ephemeral. Whereas Buddhists, they say that Vijnana is something which is just occurring every second. It is occurring and dying. It is occurring and dying. It is Kshanika Vijnana. So that is the thing they say. So here we have seen what is called Rupaskandha. That is the physical organism which is a continuous stream of changing atoms. Today you eat one thing and then you eat some nice food and then you have got developed some atoms in your body. Then again tomorrow you eat something else and then you develop some other atoms, and then by tomorrow some other atoms must have died. And that is how in the process we grow old, and then so all this parinama takes place because of that. Then after Rupa Skandha there is Vedana Skandha, that sensation. Then Sanya Skandha, the perception and knowing. Then Samskara Skandha, that is all these dispositions, predispositions and all that, Vasanamaya. Then the final one is Vijnana, that is Alaya Vijnana, the notion of that I, what we call Ahankara, and that self, Vijnanamaya Kosha, almost the same. So these are the five skandhas, and ultimately what are they? Ultimately they are all fleeting buddhi vrittis only. And because all these things are buddhi rupanyeva, that is why they are all kriya hayeva. Buddhi rupanyeva iti kriya hayeva. Skandhaha, all these skandhas are kriyas only. So coming back to this first line, Kriyaiva Karakam. So in the case of Buddhist, Kriya itself is the Karta. Kriyaiva Karakam is Kriya itself is the Karta. All these changing things which are no different, which are nothing other than Kriyas, they are the Karta. All these changing things, these 5 skandhas which are changing, they are all Kriyas. And those Kriyas themselves are the Karta. So even in that case, what is the ultimate final conclusion? The final conclusion is that because they are all Kriya Swarupa only, you cannot give up karma. So whether it is you take Sankhya case, Sankhya position or Buddhist position, you cannot give up karma. So that is what is the thing. Then Ubhayathapi Karmanaha Asheshatah Tyagaha Na Sambhavati. So the conclusion is Ubhayathapi, in either way, Asheshatah Tyagaha Na Sambhavati. It is just not possible to altogether give up the karmas. So anyway, this is a rather slightly, because we are not acquainted with this Buddhist Siddhanta or Sankhya Siddhanta, you have to again listen to this again. Or you may refer to some book on Indian philosophy. If you check up some book on Indian philosophy and then refer to the Buddhist, the Bauddha Darshana, there you will know about this Panchaskandhas. In fact, I recommend a book called A Critical Survey of Indian Philosophy. A Critical Survey of Indian Philosophy by one gentleman called Chandradhara Sharma. Chandradhara Sharma. A Critical Survey of Indian Philosophy by Chandradhara Sharma. So that book is a very good text. That is a very old writer. Old in the sense the book was written about 50 years ago, I think. It's a very good summary of Indian philosophy. So now, Ubhayathapi Karmanaha Asheshatah Tyagaha Na Sambhavati. In both ways, giving up of this karma is not possible. So that is what is again Mimamsaka's contention only. Then Atha Trutiyopi Pakshaha Yada Karoti Tada Sakriyam Vastu Yada Na Karoti Tada Nishkriyam Tadeva Tatra Evam Sati Shakyam Karma Asheshatah Tyaktum Ayam tu asmin trutiya pakshe visheshaha Na nitya prachalitam vastu Napi kriyaiva karakam Kim tarhi Vyavasthite dravye Avidyamana kriya utpadyate Vidyamana cha vinashyati. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue that. Okay, Atha Trutiyopi Pakshaha. There is a third, school of thought. Paksha here is another school of thought. Here we are now referring to this Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika is otherwise called Kanada. I told about that Kanada Maharshi, Kanada Rishi, who was picking up grain from the fields and then he lived such a simple life. He was a great man. Vanchavrutti. That is Kanada Rishi. He is also the theory. It is also called the atomic theory of Kanada. So he was the man who proposed that all these things are atoms only. So this Kanada Paksha. Here he says, Yada karoti tada sakriyam vastu. According to this Kanadas, Atma is something which is both sakriyam and also nishkriyam. How? It has got the potential to act. Whenever it wants, it can act. Whenever it wants, it can keep quiet. A very, very simple logic. Very simple logic. I am sitting here. Whenever I want, I can go out. Whenever I don't want, I can sit here. So something like that. Atma is something which is Shakti Mat. Shakti Mat means? Which has Shakti. Matuvarthakam. Shakti Mat. Then Balavan, something like that. Shakti, when it is associated with Ikara, the Makara comes. Shakti Mat. Balavan. Shakti Van, we don't say Shakti Mat or Shakti Man. So that is it. So Shakti Mat, because it is Napumsakalinga. So this is Atma, here it is Shakti Mat. Self is something which is Shakti Mat, they say. And whenever it wants, it can get into some action. Whenever it wants, it can withdraw. So that way it is both sakriyam and also nishkriyam. It is also having karma, it is also nishkriyam. So that way you can give up karmas altogether. So that is what he says. So yada karoti tada sakriyam vastu. Whenever it does something, it is sakriyam. Whenever it gets into some action. Yada nakaroti tada nishkriyam tadeva. When it does not do anything, then it is nishkriyam only. Then tatra evam sati. When that is so, shakyam karma asheshatah tyaktum. So the third alternative is tatra evam sati. When it is so, shakyam karma asheshatah tyaktum. It is possible for somebody to give up karma altogether. Then ayam tu asmin trutiye pakshe visheshaha. In this particular paksha, in this particular school, this is the speciality. Ayam visheshaha means this is the speciality. What is the speciality? Na nitya prachalitam vastu. It is not like Sankhyas who say that vastu. Vastu here means Atma. You can note down. Vastu does not mean, it is not referring to any object. It is referring to Atma only. This Atma is something which is not nitya prachalitam as told by Sankhyas, nor is it a kriya, nor is it a continuous kriya, skandha, panchaskandha, that again they are all kriyas. We saw that logic. Buddhi rupanyeva, buddhi vritti rupanyeveti, kriya eveti skandha, all these skandhas are kriyas only. So all these kriyas, napi kriyaiva karakam. So we need not bother for Buddhists also. We need not bother about Buddhists also who said that the kriya itself becomes the karaka. So without reference to Sankhyas or Buddhists, we can say that Atma, whenever it wants, it can be active. It can, whenever it wants, it can give up karma. So that is what he says. Then say gnapi kriyaiva karakam. Okay, kim tarhi means what then? Vyavasthite dravye avidyamana kriya utpadyate. Vyavasthite dravye. This dravya again means Atma. We are all referring to Atma only. So in this Atma which is well established, Atma is there very much. In this Atma, avidyamana kriya utpadyate. One particular activity which was not there earlier, it starts. An activity which was not there earlier, it starts. Avidyamana kriya utpadyate. Then vidyamana cha vinashyati. That is something which is existing, it disappears. Of course, Shankaracharya is going to explain in the light of that nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Maybe we will continue in the next class because all this leads to further another discussion like this. So let us read one or two more lines and stop. Vyavasthite dravye avidyamana kriya utpadyate vidyamana cha vinashyati. Whatever is existing, it vinashyati. Then shuddham tat dravyam
Shuddham tat dravyam
shaktimad avatisthate
Shaktimat avatisthate
ityevamahuh kanadaha tadeva cha karakamiti asmin doshe ko doshaha iti asmin pakshe ko doshaha iti. Okay. Shuddham tat brahma, tat dravyam, this vastu, though it is shuddham, though it is something which is unconnected with anything, shuddham dravyam, it is shakti mad avatisthate. It stays as shakti mat. It has got the potential to do that shakti. Then ityeva mahuhu, shakti mad avatisthate ityeva mahu kanadaha. That is what kanadas say. Tadeva cha karakamiti. That itself is the karakam. Karakam is karta. That itself is the karta. That karma, this atma, which is having that potential to act, it can either sit tight or it can act. So that is why it is the karakam, they say. Then asmin pakshe ko doshaha. What is wrong with this paksha? So that is the question. So ayameva tu doshaha. Yat no, one second. Yataha ayameva tu doshaha yatastvabhagamatam matamidam. Yataha tu abhagavatam matamidam. Yatastvabhagamatam abhagavatam matam idam. Abhagavatam. Bhagavatam means something relating to Bhagavan is Bhagavatam. Bhagavataha idam Bhagavatam. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam also, what is the meaning of Bhagavatam? Bhagavataha idam. It is something which tells about Bhagavan. Another meaning of Bhagavatam is Bhagavataha. That is, Bhagavata means all God's devotees. So many Daiva Bhaktas. Bhagavata, the word Bhagavata refers to Bhakta. Bhagavatam means something which relates to so many bhaktas. Bhagavatam itself is a whole long list of success stories of so many bhaktas. So many bhaktas, they appear in that, whether it is Rishabhadeva, or whether it is some other Prahlada, or whether it is Dhruva, so many, Uddhava, all these bhaktas, a series of bhaktas or devotees are described in that Bhagavatam, isn't it? And all those people are muktas. All these people are people who are realized souls. So, realized persons rather. So, Bhagavatam is that. Abhagavatam is something which is contrary to what Bhagavan says. Abhagavatam matam means something which is contrary to what Bhagavan says. Ayameva doshaha yata swabhagamatam abhagavatam matamidam. Abhagavatam means something which is contrary to what you say, this idam matam, what you say, this particular thing, your argument is something which is abhagavatam. It is something which is contrary to what Lord says. Katham nyayate?
Katham nyayate?
Yata aha bhagavan?
Yata aha bhagavan?
Nasato vidyate bhava ityadi.
नासतो विद्यते भाव इत्यादि.
Okay, Lord said, na asataha vidyate bhavaha iti. You are totally contradicting. Na asataha vidyate bhava means from that unreal, from the non-existent, something new suddenly does not come into existence. Na abhavo vidyate sataha. What is existing, it does not get out of it does not disappear. So we will see that in the next class. Though there is some time, this argument we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.